Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Intellectual Films, and today we're going over WB's continuous attempt to counter the meta in PvP. So, within the latest update, which is supposedly the January update, which has dropped far earlier than expected, we have received 3 new characters. And I'm going to compare this to last month's update, which was Supergirl and Firestorm, and Supergirl's target was, of course, the PvP meta. And if you're unfamiliar with what the meta is currently, it revolves around the crit AOE teams. So that would be made up of the Suicide Squad Deadshot that was released, Emerald Archer Green Arrow, as well as the pre-registration bonus, which was the Wonder Woman. So regardless of how you combine these characters and what leadership you're using, they are fairly formidable and devastating to come up against. In fact, they are the only characters that I don't fare as well as I would in PvP matches, and I'm sure you guys have had those experiences as well, where you're in your PvP match and then all of a sudden a character or two just gets obliterated within the first move. It definitely feels unbalanced, and there's certainly some issues that are most certainly being worked out. But at the moment, we can safely say that WB's response to this seems to be releasing characters that are somewhat of a counter to this. So let's start off with last month's attempt, which was Supergirl. So Supergirl was entirely built to prevent the critical hits / AOE hits in PvP against the meta teams that I mentioned, which was entirely due to her fantastic leadership overall. Again, prevents the critical damage minus 20%, in addition to attempting to hinder the critical chance. This is especially useful against somebody like Wonder Woman. So overall, if you have leveled up as I have and invested a fair amount of your resources into Supergirl, you would come out with the conclusion that she is fairly mediocre in my mind, at least. She's not that good of a character. Her only real use is to simply be that defensive cushion for you within PvP. And I'm going to explain it in addition to this in this video as to why that is almost the only way to play at the moment in the current state of PvP, which is rather unfortunate. But that is what we received with Supergirl. As I mentioned, we received 3 new characters, and some of them add some new features to what could be a rising meta, that being the Green Lantern teams, and I'll go into that a little bit further. But right now, let's go into PvP and let's show you the changes that have been made ever since I switched to a more defensive team. The team that I typically play, I would classify it as a mid-range team. I tend to use turn meter boosts, so you can say maybe a speedster team somewhat. I like the fast, aggressive approach. I find it the funnest way to play, if you want to put it that way. It's just very enjoyable for me personally. I don't know how it relates to you guys, but for the moment, ever since I've switched to a defensive team, the one thing you'll notice throughout is I don't have a -6 here. So if you are having trouble with your defense on your battle log, I strongly suggest you switch to a more defensive team. In addition to fighting off these opponents now that are supposedly much tougher, I don't have a prime example here of a +6, but traditionally you will face somebody like Wonder Woman or Deadshot, perhaps even the quit-vexing Harley Quinn, who can just one-shot you with her crit hit. So it behooves you to have Supergirl as your leader. And let's go ahead and look at now how the meta will eventually change as these characters are released. Again, no guarantee that all of these characters will release. Obviously, we only know that Arcus Chummuck will be released, as well as Medfill, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, or as I like to call him, Broccoli Cyclops, or the Broccoli Cyclops. That's honestly what he looks like. He looks like an interesting character, but we have no word on Jessica Cruz at all. Again, I worry that she may be similar to Deadshot's release, which was simply, well, she didn't get a release. He was only for sale within the store. Her moves really don't worry me too much, fortunately. So we won't see a new rising meta, I think, overall. But let's go ahead and look at Arcus Chummuck for the time being. And I just want to talk about his interesting new feature, or rather just individually a new feature that they've added to the game. Because I don't think Arcus Chummuck adds anything to the meta individually. So as a character individually, he doesn't do much other than just be a standalone, interesting character with an interesting mechanic that they've implemented here. I like seeing this. We should be seeing this every month. Perhaps not every month, but occasionally we should be seeing new features. And this is the issue challenge. So Arcus will use his Tumian fist on the target twice, then the target attacks once. So obviously the intention here is you want to kill your opponent with that second hit. Obviously, meaning they will have no chance to retaliate against you. Very interesting move, and again, his Tumian fist synergizes fairly well with something like a Green Lantern's leadership. Negates the 4% shield, you do plus 50% damage. Sounds pretty awesome if you ask me. So he looks like a very interesting character. Again, if you couple him with Jessica Cruz and Hal Jordan Green Lantern's leadership, wow, it will be a devastating trio. I suppose if you add Medfill in there as well, that will be the new meta, undoubtedly, I think. But as a standalone character, I'm not worried too much about seeing Arcus Chumbucket. But I cannot wait to play him. I think as anyone, I think this is, I think most of you guys share my enthusiasm at the moment. Jessica Cruz. So again, she's become very popular because of the DC Rebirth. But let's go ahead and talk about her. The only thing that's notable here about the meta is, of course, Survivor's Will. Now, I don't know how this will stack. Only time will tell once she is released. But apply 6 to 12 shield. We can kind of, let's say we level that a fair bit, and let's say it goes to 15 or 20% chance, and couple that with Green Lantern's leadership, and you got a fairly large cushion there. So in terms of defense, she will be fairly useful. Even her leadership, and you could see this is almost a parody to the meta right here. All teammates gain 6% shield. If two allies attack, aka the AoE attack, shields are double if crit. So you want to avoid the AoE characters like Wonder Woman and of course Green Arrow. So her again, team leader. There's no way we can know at the moment if it will be useful unless we see the stack of how much percentage shield we will obtain once it is fully leveled. So we'll just stay on the sidelines at the moment, and we won't say much about Jessica Cruz. Finally, Medfill. So Medfill, overall, he's somewhat of an interesting character. He's got some interesting abilities. The only one that I will note here is the Will to Live. I think this is very useful if you're playing even aggressive team, because if you are playing somebody like Cyborg, who is very prone to dying fairly quickly, I think, this applies damage immunity, of course, and a 10% shield, but in addition, it allows you to build up that character's 100% chance to hit, so he can do his heavy damage cannon and just immediately knock out the biggest threat to you in that PvP match. So I see some use for him there. In addition to his team leader, I have no idea how useful this will be, how it will even function really, if it'll function well enough for that matter. But until, again, same as Jessica Cruz, until we see how this stacks, I can't really say too much on it. So overall, not that much of a meta change here. But it does seem like they're going the defensive route, which is good because that seems like the only effective way to win in PvP at the moment. So you guys can let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of these characters, and if you think they will change the meta in an effective way besides coupling them all together as the Green Lanterns and just obliterating any opponent that dares step into the ring with you, so to speak. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think of PvP at the moment. Are you somewhat successful with aggressive teams, mid-range teams, or are you having, like myself, having to resort to defensive teams to even win some fights? Let me know, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys soon. Cheers.